friends, my name is Jake. Welcome to Canadian Cutting Edge, and it's almost time to do my Patreon giveaway. I just checked Patreon's still processing the payments. Once I can confirm that the payments have all come through, then I can do the random draw. Today, we're taking a look at this. This is the S768 by Sanrenmu. This is the 768-4. The 768 has got a, I believe it's a satin finish blade with black G10. This one's got the black titanium coating on it, and of course the orange G10 on here. Comes in a ABS sheath with some bonded leather for a belt loop and a snap. Yeah, it's a budget fixed blade. I had a seller, the Sanrenmu seller on Alibaba, contact me and ask me if I wanted to review some of the knives, and he sent me this knife. So that's the disclaimer. You can buy this on Alibaba, but Alibaba is basically designed for, wholesalers, distributors, retailers. So if you buy just one item from them, there's a $25 shipping fee. If you buy 5 knives from them, there's one $25 shipping fee. So if you're going to be buying this from the same person that I got it from, look around their website, their page, and see what else they have that you might want. You can get these knives other ways. There's AliExpress, there's Amazon, there's, I think, DHgate. I'm going to leave links down below, all of those places that have this knife in stock, or the other version, the one with the black G10. What's the price on these? I'll tell you that when we get to the tabletop. So stick around. We're going to do the full review of this knife right now. Let's start off with the prices on this thing. Looking at my sheet here, Alibaba's got this for $43.85 American, plus the $25 American shipping. That's $57.66 Canadian, plus $32.87 for shipping. So there's that. Like I said, Amazon's got it, Amazon.com, so that's for the Americans, $55.99. Well, you don't have to pay the shipping there, so that's cheaper than the Alibaba if you're in the United States. Starting off with the sheath, like I said, we've got an ABS sheath. A lot of Sanrenmu budget knives have this style sheath with this bonded leather loop back here. It's permanently affixed right there. And we've got a snap right there. There's some ink that came on there from when they dyed the bonded leather. At least I believe it's bonded leather. It just doesn't look like real leather to me when you look at the edge this way. One more thing actually about the sheath is we've got a tiny little drain slot right there. That's a good thing. Now the knife goes in here. It's got a click. The retention's quite good. Tighten up the snap. Yeah, there's some rattle when you're holding the handle, when you're holding the sheath and shaking it. Nothing major. It's an okay sheath for what you get. They've got jimping on the outside there, so when you hold the knife, push with your thumb to disengage. There you go. The knife shape, what do we got here? It's sort of like a karambit. Not really. We don't have a big curved blade here, and it's got a belly instead of a big recurve, so it's not really a karambit, but with this hole, it's sort of like it. We've got a drop point blade. We've got a saber grind. That's a flat grind that doesn't come all the way to the spine. Quite the tip here for piercing. The knife blade keeps its full thickness up to here, and then it starts tapering down, but really it doesn't do a significant taper until the last half of an inch down to the tip. By the way, the steel is Sandvik 12C27, and it says so right there on the Ricasso. Model number is right up here, S768-4. There's the date of manufacturer, which means it was made before 2020. Recently, they stopped putting date stamps on their knives. And on the text on the screen, you saw what year this thing is. Serial number. This one is number 10. So this is probably new old stock. And the letters there for Sanrenmu. That's all the writing that's on there. It's got this nice black coating. It hasn't really scratched up yet. I've done some testing on this, not a fair bit. I've done a moderate amount of testing with this specific knife. The coating's held up okay so far. I don't have an awful lot of faith in this coating to hold up, tremendously well for the long term. Let that be what it's worth to you. We've got some big jimping up here. 5 little slots cut in there. That helps for the grip a little bit. Pretty good. I wouldn't mind if it had 1 or 2 more of those cuts milled into there. It's okay. Chamfered on the sides. So this blade, the way it's shaped, it does okay for piercing into most things. And this belly, the way it is, it's okay for cutting and slicing. It's fairly thin behind the grind. The sharpening, it's a bit wonky, but it's okay. Sharpener's choil is plenty big enough. It's about twice the width of the plunge, so you're not going to sharpen into the plunge easily. But you can see when they sharpened it, somebody touched that plunge. And they put this across on the belt. On both sides, there's a little nick where the coating has been removed there. How about the handle? Well, we've got flat slab G10, and then it's got these lines milled in it. 4 lines this way, 3 lines this way to make that X pattern. And there is some black on this orange G10. And that's from the ABS rubbing on there. So the ABS, being softer than G10, transfers onto the G10. It's just the way it goes. You can use a Scotch-Brite and rub it off if you want to, Scotch pad or something like that. On the black version, with the black G10, it doesn't show up that way at all. We've also got 2 screw holes here. They are T8 screws. We can take that off, and I'll do that in just a minute. One other thing about the G10 is it's inset just a little bit. The spine of the metal stick out from the G10 just a little bit. The G10 is rounded at the edges. It's actually fairly comfortable in hand. Remember, my hand size is extra large, just barely extra large though. So if you've got men's large hands, this is pretty good grip. And, smaller hands, you can still get a pretty good grip on it as well. Back to the end of the handle here, we've got, again, jimping up here. We've got some more jimping down here. It's kind of curved in. If your pinky's back there, you can do that. Like I said, there's room in here if you use that spot back there. My fingers could be quite a bit bigger and still be comfortable on this knife. So there's that. We've got the hole back here, and then we've got a little bit of a section that's got a hollow grind milled section here with a fairly thin edge there. Yeah, that's a pry tool of some kind. I didn't pry very much with that. I did open a paint can with it. It worked quite well, actually. It didn't chip off from doing that. I was being careful, though, so there's that. The hole, if you want to put your pinky way back there, that's a terribly uncomfortable way to hold the knife. Like that just, A reverse grip, that hole doesn't make any sense that way either. How are you going to... Nope. On this knife, that hole makes no sense to me whatsoever. I'd rather the handle be a little bit thinner this way and have the G10 come all the way back so that you could, grip it way at the back. If you need more reach, you still can. It's not a super secure grip this way, but it's a fairly secure grip having your ring finger in that spot. It's okay that way, but it's not really designed for that. So there's that. It's an odd knife. I really think it's an odd knife. Let's take this thing apart. I haven't done it yet. So right now, these screw heads are pristine black. I'm going to see if they're going to get chipped out when I try to take it apart. I got the screws out without damaging them. You can't see anything on there. These are free spinning. There's no Loctite on them. Let's see if I can peel this off. There we go. So yeah, fully flat slab, no hollowing there. 3 holes for skeletonizing. And let's push these screws out. Oh, almost dropped the knife. Push those screws out. Yeah, that's a real post. That's not just another screw put in the end. It's round and it can spin. That's how simple it's constructed. Your teardown is finished. I'm happy that you're still with me. Let's go over all the specs, dimensions, measurements, all that stuff. This thing weighs 133 grams. That's 4.69 ounces. The sheath, 51 grams, 1.8 ounces. Together, 184 grams, 6.49 ounces. 6.5 ounces? Yeah, that's not terrible. The sharpness from the factory, 125 bests. A bit sharper than average that I review, so that's good. The cutting edge length, 92 millimeters, 3.62 inches. Blade length, tip tip to the closest spot on the G10, 99.8 millimeters, 3.98 inches. How thick is this blade? With the coating on it, 3.05 millimeters, that's 0.12 of an inch, just under an eighth of an inch. The blade depth this way, 34 millimeters, 1.34 inches. How thin is it behind the grind? Measured in 3 places and averaged 0.47 millimeters, 18.5 thousandths of an inch. And the grind angles are next. This side's got a grind angle average of 13.55 degrees. This side's got an average of 22.6 degrees. This side started at 25.9 degrees at the tip, ends at 19.4 degrees here. 6.5 degrees of change, 22.6 average. This side started at 14.6, ends at 12.5 degrees. That's 2.1 degrees of change. Pretty poorly sharpened. So if that's the blade edge, you've got one side like this and one side like that. And that's what you're supposed to be cutting through. Of course, I'm exaggerating. 12C27, probably 18 degrees per side is what you want to do. Something like that, depending on what you're going to use it for. Handle length. I'm measuring this from the beginning of the G10 to the very end of the steel here. 125 millimeters, 4.92 inches. The thickness of the handle, 13.2 millimeters, 0.52 of an inch. The handle depth, now that's within the grip area, and so that's the biggest spot within the grip area. 35.5 millimeters, 1.4 inches. And the grip itself, it's a bit over 10 centimeters, about 4 inches roughly. The total length of this knife from the very tip to the end of this little lever section back here, 224 millimeters, 8.82 inches. And that's the end of that section. It's a cool idea, and it could be a really good knife, except for this. This just doesn't make sense on this knife. Why is it there? If you want to do a reach, I'd like to have more, some G10 back here to help with the grip. Other than that, that hole is nonsense. Your pinky in there doesn't feel good. No other finger feels good in there. Your thumb in there doesn't feel good. It's just not a good design at all. The little pry thing back here, or maybe it's a persuader. You can use that against something, pressure point on somebody. Sure. I'd rather it was, flat and maybe had some jimping in it. Then you could use it to crush things. If you're outside in the wilderness camping and stuff, sometimes you need to do that. But sometimes you need to pry too. So 6 of one, half dozen of the other. The G10, it's nice. I like that it's rounded. I just wish it would come back further. T8 screws, that's nice. The blade steel exposed a little bit, and being rounded, the chamfer, quite comfortable. The jimping there is quite nice. You certainly have a lot of guard so that if you do puncture something with this, your hand's unlikely to go over the blade. Sharpness choil's nice and big. Blade shape is very effective for slicing, piercing, and cutting. It's okay for that. And it's thin enough. And I don't mind 12C27. It's a pretty decent budget steel. I'd rather have 14C28N, yeah, but 12C27 isn't terrible either. Would I buy this knife for the price that it's available right now? No, I don't think so. But if you like the shape and design, especially if you're okay with what's going on back here, go for it. Hey, it's your money, it's your life. Buy what you like. This guy will probably be going on my next knife sale. It's going to be probably early September. We'll see. I don't know for sure. And maybe you can buy it off me if you really like it. Especially if you're in Canada, it's going to be a little more tricky to get this thing into the country. It'll pass through customs, no problem. It doesn't have a problem with that. It's just, people not wanting to ship to Canada anymore, especially from Asia. It's just the way it's been going. There you go. Thanks for watching this video from Canadian Cutting Edge. I appreciate your help very much. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. Thanks for hitting the like button, sharing, or maybe hit the dislike button. Either way, please hit one of those. It really does make a difference. Leave a comment, even if it's just for the algorithm. I appreciate that kind of help very much. Don't forget to check below the video. There's all kinds of referral links down there with discount codes as well to save money. Anything to do with the knife hobby, from sharpening to buying more knives, knife maintenance, all that stuff. Thank you to my supporters who support me every month financially. I appreciate that a lot. And remember, friends, always cut towards your chum, not your thumb.